Thank you, Chairman. I understand that the 2001 AUMF is of great interest to many of my colleagues because there's much to be debated there in the future as it pertains to the scope of the authorities, how it might be amended, how it might be replaced. But I'm going to focus on really the thrust of today's hearing, which is the legislation that is before this committee and will soon, I suspect, be before the United States Senate. The repeal of the 1991 and 2002 AUMFs. Now, each of those AUMFs was focused on the threat posed by Saddam Hussein. Yeah. Saddam Hussein and his regime in Iraq. Let's take the 2002 AUMF as our point of our focal point. After lengthy findings on the threats posed by the regime of Saddam Hussein, Congress authorized the President in 2002 to, quote, use the armed forces of the United States as he determines to be necessary and appropriate to, number one, defend the national security of the United States against the continuing threat posed by Iraq, that's Saddam Hussein's Iraq, and two, enforce all relevant United Nations Security Council resolutions regarding Iraq. That's Saddam Hussein's Iraq. Secretary Sherman, is the United States still at war with the government of Iraq as it states in the 2002 AUMF?
No, we are not, Senator.
Okay. Are our forces deployed to Iraq today at the invitation of a new Iraqi government?
Yes, Iraq is a sovereign government, and we have a strategic partnership with them.
Let's put a pin on that. That's what we're talking about here. It has nothing to do with 2001. We're just focused on 91, which incidentally I was right out of high school, had just enlisted in the United States Navy, and 2002. As you know, the regime of Saddam Hussein was removed in 2003, pursuant to the terms of the very AUMF, the 2002 AUMF that I have just referenced. And Saddam Hussein was brought to justice by brave American servicemen and women and by some of the Iraqi people. The government of Iraq is now a partner. They're not an enemy of the United States. And U.S. troops are there at the government's invitation, as Deputy Secretary Sherman just indicated. With that, if our forces in Iraq were to be attacked by Iranian-backed militias, the Islamic State, or other terrorist groups, is there anything whatsoever that would stop the President of the United States from allowing U.S. forces to defend themselves against such an attack? Deputy Secretary Sherman?
No. There is nothing that would keep the President from taking action, as he has done on more than one occasion since he's become President.
Mr. Visick, do you agree with that assessment?
I agree.
Ms. Kratz?
Yes.
Do you agree with that assessment?
Yes, I agree, sir.
Would repeal of the 91 or 2002 AUMF, the only thing we're focused on here today, negatively impact or endanger our service members and diplomats serving in Iraq? Deputy Secretary Sherman.
No, it would not, sir.
Do you agree with that assessment, Mr. Visick?
Yes, I do.
Ms. Kratz?
Yes, I agree.
Okay. If this repeal of the 91 and the 2002 AUMF and no other AUMFs moves forward, as I expect it will, would any of you on the panel have any concerns about the safety and security of U.S. personnel stationed in Iraq on account of said repeal? Yes or no, please. Deputy Secretary Sherman.
No, not as a result of the repeal.
Mr. Visick.
Not as a result of the repeal, no.
And Ms. Kratz.
I agree, not as a result of the repeal.
I have no further questions. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Murphy. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I've